is a privileged moment.
Here, we use the great word. Did you like Black Swan?
I had a blast watching it, but I really do feel like if this wasn't made by a guy who gets Oscar nominations for people, if it was made by a first-time filmmaker, then it would be in Midnight Madness, and people would be talking about it like the exploitation movie that it is, and not as, you know, something that we're supposed to take seriously.
Well, I don't know. Hey, Aronofsky's, I haven't seen it.
Oh,
so you guys are spoiling everything for me. Okay. But I do want to comment that Aronofsky's career is very interesting to me, and I don't think he's not a guy.
As a cautionary tale?
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's just he's not known as a guy who gets Oscar, you know, like Academy Award performances
and Oscar
until Rourke, which is now.
Well, he also got Ellen Burstyn an Oscar.
And he got Ellen Burstyn an Oscar nomination, and he's going to get Natalie Portman.
That's what these movies are. Okay, I mean, okay, fair enough. I forgot about Ellen Burstyn, but I don't know. He's interesting. I mean. I'd be curious to know before we move on to Bob's like the legitimate opinion of the movies. It just seems like The Wrestler struck me as one of the most calculated film productions I'd ever seen out of America. Like very much someone being like, I like having a desire and making a film to fulfill that desire in the industry, not like an aesthetic or artistic desire, but you know, a sort of like end product in terms of press and awards and a resuscitation of a career and stuff like that. And I'm just wondering if Black Swan. How that relates, if you guys see that as a...
Well,
you know.
I mean, I actually think, one thing that I wrote about it is that I feel like for the past couple of movies, Aronofsky has been making the next movie to satisfy complaints about the last one.
Yeah, you did right.
And so it's like, you know, you thought The Fountain was ridiculous and too fantastical. Well, I'm going to make a movie that's gritty. And it's like, well, you thought The Wrestler took itself too seriously and was too mawkish with all like the daddy and daughter stuff. Well, now I'm going to make a movie where I not only not ask you to care about the characters, but I want you to laugh at them. So
then his next film will be cogent. As Bob, do you want to talk about?
I think Black Swan is a cynical hustle. It's you know, repulsion meets La Danse. You know,
nice.
Really,
you win
in really bad, really awful ways. I think it's a ridiculous movie from start to finish. I do not think he meant it to be a comedy. That's actually what that's what divides the room, I find.
Yeah.
There were a good number of folks in that now famous press screening who were laughing at the film. They were not laughing with the film. They were laughing at it.
It's one of them sitting next to me and is named you. So.
I mean, there were others. We heard them, and I think that it's interesting how people respond to this film. You know, it says something about how off-key and off-tone really the film is. You know, it's a film that makes you appreciate Roman Polanski. That was an overwhelming feeling I had coming out of this film. Was you know, my regard for Polanski has sort of grown by the year. You go back and look at Polanski's early films, and they get better and better and better. And you see a film like this, and you think about what the Polanski touch would have brought to this material, and you would have avoided some of the most ridiculous stuff with Barbara Hershey. It was just ungodly what abuse that poor actress was put through. Of course, you have a director who has a very strange attitude towards women. And
well, in The Fountain, it's sort of idealized, and then the Wrestler, the Marissa Tomei character, is idealized, but
he's never had a credible woman, not once in any of his films.
Well, that's
a real problem.
This is obviously the definitive last word on Black Swan. I mean, I don't want to feel like we're getting to the end of our time, but realistically, we might only have a little while left. But I feel that there's a lot, many more films that we can talk about. I mean, do we want to just kind of open it to free-for-all? Apichatpong, Weerasethakul, Uncle Boonmee, Who Can Recall His Past Lives, which won the Palme d'Or at Cannes this year and is screening later in the festival. In the interest of advertising, I should say there's going to be a Mavericks session where the very fine film critic Dennis Lim is going to talk to Mr. Apichatpong. It's on Saturday.
In the further interest of advertising, we should point out that Uncle Boonmee, Who Can Recall His Past Lives, will be playing indefinitely at TIFF Lightbox.
And I think that, I can't speak for everyone who's seen it, I can only speak for myself. It's just a wonderful film, and I feel like saying that there are a lot of art house filmmakers who are considered challenging and difficult, and I know people who that it drives them crazy. But whenever I've heard those criticisms about him, I just don't know what to do when I want to wring people's necks. I mean, this is sort of the most generous, gentle, relaxed, unpretentious kind of filmmaking. It's incredibly sophisticated, and I don't even pretend to begin to contextualize it in terms of Thai history. I think his influences run maybe further and wider than he's, than people always assume. But watching this film, which I was only able to do once, and I want to see it at least 2 or 3 more times, it's just such a pleasant, sort of welcoming, comfortable experience. It also has awesome special effects, as you can see. Those things are actually in the movie. The laser apes. And I mean, it's been analyzed from so many different angles as a meditation on different kinds of cinema because of the way that it's shot on a sort of progression of formats. Certainly as a movie about memory, I found the idea of these kind of spirits waiting out in the jungle to be incredibly evocative politically. And it's one of the few films here, as well as also the 4 Times, the Quatre Volte, which is, preoccupied with ideas of reincarnation. I cannot pretend to say anything definitive about it, except that I think by some distance, by kilometers, it's the best film that I've seen here.
Since we are in Canada.
Since we are in Canada, yeah. Anyone else want to say anything about Joe? Bob? Danny?
Adam looks at me, Bob. I saw it twice in Cannes. I wanted to see it 3 times in Cannes. It is an endlessly satisfying film that every viewing it yields up new notions, new thoughts, new connections. There's a creature in the Black Lagoon that runs through it. It's a Thai fairy tale. Yes, it is a political allegory, but I think that really is actually really backgrounded. And what we have here in some of other Apichatpong films is you've got a true belief in reincarnation. I mean, this is not a Western film. This is grounded in a belief in reincarnation, and you have to, as a viewer, accept that going in. I think there was a lot of Western-based prejudice and resistance.
Although Tim Burton got over it.
Tim Burton absolutely got over it. And I would also note that for the general viewer, it's a wonderful film of his to begin with.
Yeah.
Probably his most accessible film, we'd agree. And once you see it, you're going to want to go back and check out his previous films, Syndromes in a Century, Blissfully Yours, Tropical Malady, even Mysterious Object at Noon, if you can find it.
That's great.
I'd like to, I think, Adam, you said the word generous about this film, and I think that's a really good way to put it, because in fact some Western critics, some at certain Toronto newspapers, which shall remain unnamed, have used very, I would say, crypto-racist terms to describe this film in particular, and also the fact that it's getting awards. And this is a way of kind of like exiling films like this from audience sensibilities. I think there's a general impression of the public that films like this, whatever that means, are films that think they're better than them. Right? These films think they're smarter than me, so I'm not going to see them.
As opposed to film socialism, which actually thinks it's better and smarter than them.
That is very true. Point well taken. But I think in Joe's case here, in Apichatpong's case, I think generosity really describes it. This is not somebody who's trying to put one over on you. He's not kind of playing to a gallery of sycophants here. He's making the films he wants to make, and you can kind of go in and engage with the film in any way you like. I think I cannot even begin. I don't think any of us can to catalog all the different kind of resonances this film has with politics, with history, with specifically Thai history, things like that, with Thai spiritual beliefs. But I know I've seen it twice, unfortunately, just on DVD at this point, and I'm looking forward to seeing it on the big screen. I found it one of the most pleasurable viewing experiences I've had this year. I don't know what it's about completely, but it was a wonderful progression of sounds and images, and I feel privileged to have seen it. And I think that, given the chance, and given a less kind of exclusionary media atmosphere, perhaps, I think the general audience, this is something they might want to engage with as well.